Okay, Eric, I think, Eric, go on, over to you.
Just a question here. Basically, I used the old system myself, but when we changed to the new system, I started trialing, and I gave up. The drop-down box is not. I was so used to the old system, working the certificate, just filling down as you went. So I wonder if it's something as doing like go-to meetings like this, or would somebody running through in the future just do a briefing for members, and if you have an issue, and set up maybe 10 people in a go-to meeting and talk through how to do it, like so your Laura was speaking about arrows, things like that. Just share things like that and then work through it for there. I'll let Keith come in.
Yeah, go on, Keith.
Does anybody else need subtitles for Eric?
No, Keith, you've known me long enough for that.
Sorry, carry on, Kevin.
Sorry, Eric, that's a really good point, you know, and it's something that we're working on, you know, alongside the guide that Neil's putting together. The ultimate aim from that is to create some animated walkthroughs of particular aspects of the system. Although I have to say, you know, if you're a Facebook user, get yourself onto the private user group in Facebook, you know, because if you've got a question like that, or if you figured out how to do something, it's really worthwhile jumping into that group and sharing it in there, okay? And then once we get enough comments in there, we can start to build up themes, you know, common issues that people are facing, and then we can start to put together little animations that cover those aspects in particular. So that is certainly an aspect that we're looking at in terms of, you know, part of the user guide will be a little bit more animated, a little bit more interactive than previously. Rosemary, yes, over to you.
Yeah, I'm the same as Laura. I am missing the keyboard interaction of it. So tabbing along using the arrows, that used to take minutes to do a certificate when you were just copying them down and going along using the keyboard. So I am missing that. I would really like to see a report function. I'm quite struggling with having to, because ours is kind of ramped up the amount that we're doing, that I have to manually put them into a spreadsheet for the dates. And I think I've asked this question a few times, Kevin. Would like to see that we can get a report off of them, and also when we go back to do a property within the 5 years, that we can look at the trends. It's maybe further down the line because we're all kind of struggling with the system at the moment, but definitely something that I would like to see more on about is a reporting function.
So I'll jump straight in on that if you want. Rosemary, you're the only one that's ever mentioned a report system. So that would have to go to Dave, because obviously there would be a huge amount of development work to put something on the system. It's just not something you can click on. So yeah, but maybe you can do an annual one. Yeah, I don't know if there's a simple sort of annual report or something. I could probably pull some figures out of a database for you, but it won't look very nice, but it will be like an Excel spreadsheet of something.
Can you not pull down, like, you know, when the thing, I don't know how it's built, I'm not IT, but going from previous, you know how things were like, some of these are often built on macros, and then you can pull down a macro from the data that you're putting in?
Well, I can get you a spreadsheet of data of what you require. I could get you a list total count of certificates, of certificate types, that sort of thing. But what won't be included in there is like a depth to go really deep into some sort of trends, really. So you have to work that yourself, and that's where this sort of hard development work would come in on that. Yeah.
Okay, no, that's fine.
If you ping me an email of some basic data sets that you want, then I can get that to you.
It's just now that we're going into the 5th, we've been using it for like 5 years, so next year we're going into the 5th year, so it's just taking a note of obviously all the clients, and then when we're starting to go back through, I've got it on spreadsheet, but it would just be handy for us not having to put that information on the spreadsheet, you know, to have that constant reminder. At least if we can just pull the data off, I can then get it. It'd only be once a year that really I need it. So.
Yeah, I mean, if it was just something like certificate counts, then perhaps that's something we could sneak into the screen somewhere that would show you total certificates, total EIC, total EICs, that sort of thing. But yeah, if you give me an email of your exact requirements, and then I can sort of have a look at that and see how easy or bad it'll be.
Okay, super.
Kevin, so Keith, I'll come back to you in a minute, Kevin. Just, sorry, Keith, I'll come back to you in a minute. Kevin, is that something as simple as maybe just an export function for a user, or is it not that simple?
Well, it is an export function, but it depends on what Rosemary wants. But there is no export functionality of data, so no, it's not just as simple as an export function, really.
Okay, okay. Yeah, I mean,
sorry, Dave. Sorry, just if you think of it more like almost like your admin dashboard. Yeah.
Okay, right. Yeah. Okay. Got you. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's just worthwhile pointing that out to everybody. Really, is we do get a lot of requests for, can we just do this? Can we just do that? What we have to be mindful of is the cost of software development. Even sometimes making the smallest of changes for one user can be quite expensive. So we need to kind of balance across the cost of spending X thousands of pounds to make a small change for one user versus the functionality across the whole base of users. Because I mean, essentially the business model that this is built on is as much as we can, Select does not make any money out of this. Anything that comes back in the form of the finances from subscriptions gets piled straight back into further development over the course of the year, and I specifically factor that into my budget when I'm putting my budget together for the following year. Anything that we make, however much it is, and generally speaking, it's maybe only 5,000 or 6,000 in any given year. All of that gets ploughed straight back into development costs. So essentially, what I get at budget time, I've maybe got about 4 or 5 different proposals, that I've put to Computer Scene Technical. They come back and give me a price for each one, and I've then got to balance, which one do I think is going to be most beneficial to users versus how much money Select has got to spend on any given software development. So, we'll maybe be able to implement, I don't know, 4 out of 8 in any given year thereabouts, and then the other ones will generally roll over into the next year, and eventually we'll get to them. So that's pretty much how the business model for this works.